energy in the house. We need all of it, right? Praise God. All right, we have first Chelsea Payne, yes, Cookie Payne is here today, mental health advocate, and she's going to talk. She's a regular co-host with us today. Yes. You hadn't been here in a while.
No.
I know. So, look, welcome back.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then we have Dr. Marlo Mathis.
Good morning.
Yes, and she's a regular co-host with us today. And then we have a special guest today, which is my good friend, Dr. Teresa Holt is in the house today.
Yes.
Hey, Dr. Teresa.
Hey, Dr. Jones.
Welcome, welcome. All right, we're going to begin with our therapeutic conversation moment, our therapeutic moment. And today I just want to send out, and I've been really in prayer about, and first I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Everyone out there has sent emails and have said hello to me, and and I just appreciate all the love. And I just want to say today is that we have to walk in abundance. That's the word today. We have to walk in abundance. We have to walk in all the things that God has called us to be. And sometimes we need help.
Yes.
In walking in abundance.
Right. Yes.
And and the scripture says, let this mind be in you, who is also in Christ Jesus. Yes. And so if we kind of look at that text, there's so many things, there's so many ways that we can kind of exegete, if I can use that term.
Use it.
I have been to seminary, y'all. I don't know. I've been to seminary. But there's a lot of, as far as that text goes, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. I think that also incorporates a sound mind.
Yes. Right.
And I just think that I see a lot of people that are Christians that are walking around, as you all know, but they don't have a sound mind. And what I mean by that, they don't walk in peace.
Oh my God.
They proclaim the word, but they don't walk in abundance. They don't walk in peace. They don't walk in blessings. Some of the Christians are the most mean people, mean-spirited people I've seen.
Yes.
That's where we're starting today.
You done set them out.
We're going to have fun. I'm setting it up today for y'all, for all of this. But it's the truth. I just think that we, unfortunately, we do not have, they don't walk in peace. And we should be demonstrating the love. We should be demonstrating the peace. If you call yourself a Christian, we should be demonstrating healthy relationships. Am I on it today?
Yes, you are.
I feel like I'm preaching, but but on a serious note, there are people that are hurting, and this whole show is about mental health, spirituality, and empowerment. And as we're talking about this today, we're going to be talking about a couple workshops that are coming up. And I know that Chelsea has a whole lot of things going on, too. She's going to be sharing. Dr. Marlo has some things going on. Dr. Holt has some things going on. I have some things going on. And so this is why we're here. But that's the purpose of this show, is to talk about spirituality, mental health, and empowerment. And we're here to raise the level of awareness for mental health.
Yes.
Right.
That's why we're here. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm just so honored that a lot of people have responded to the question that I did propose on Facebook. And basically, on Facebook, I said that that why are pastors and ministers so resistant to receiving mental health counseling? Why are they so, it's such a taboo, if I can use that term.
Yes.
And I know Dr. Marlo has done her research the same way I've done my research for our doctor of ministry from the Great United Theological Seminary.
Yes.
Wonderful school. Put a little plug out for that program, and but we did our research on this on a serious note. And I think that, we really got to look at that. So Dr. Marlo, talk about your research. I think that that's important, that because you did something very similar to me. It was a little different, but if you want to just kind of start talking a little bit about that today.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Because
so
it's
much.
answering that question. See, we're together answering that question about why ministers pastors and spiritual leaders are so resistant to mental health counseling. And what was your title of your dissertation or ministry project is what we call it?
Yes, it was Mental Health and Wholeness, a psychological and theological framework for supporting mental health in the Black church.
All right, hold on. That was long, Marlo. Dr. Marlo, come on, say it again. I love it.
Mental health and wholeness. And I want to hold there to wholeness because we are not, we've not been walking, as you said, in that place of peace because we're not in that place of wholeness.
Yes.
We work with the physical, you know, and we do the spiritual, but sometimes that mental piece is lacking. And so God has called us as his ambassadors in a place of wholeness, to be full and true and whole to God. He has created us in his image and his likeness to be whole creatures. So mental health and wholeness. So we look at a theological meaning that place of God, who we are in God. And that psychological, meaning that our mind, let's deal with our mind, let's deal with our thoughts, let's deal with our behaviors, let's accept those things that we're weak in, you know, and it's that framework. We want to build that framework where we're able to go into the churches and minister to the ministers and the pastors, as we'll talk today, and help them because they have to get that buy-in. They have to be that person that says, yes, we believe in this and we want to support this so we can pass it on to our people. So we set that framework up to support mental health in the Black church. In the Black, because it's missing.
So, yes, and I think it's so important. And what is this framework?
The framework looks at, again, education. It gets in and it helps them to understand. I was able to, a couple of weeks ago, to be invited to a church that allowed me to come in and talk to some of the congregation, the members, about mental health and the importance of mental health and how that helps you to become that whole person. And so that framework sets up that education in talking about mental health, talking about different diagnoses, talking about how it has no respect of person. You know, mental health affects us all. You know, looking at depression, looking at anxiety, looking at even suicidal thoughts. My dissertation talked about pastors who were in the pulpit every Sunday, but one day decided, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live anymore. How do you pastor a people and you
are broken?
To the point where you don't want to live anymore.
And we saw a rise in that a few years ago here in Georgia.
That's true.
And I just want to clue you all in. I mean, you know, we saw a rise of that in Georgia, that the pastors were committing suicide on a Sunday morning. They would send their family to church, and and everybody was waiting on them to, you know, come to the church to, you know, preach and to, you know, pastor the church on, you know, and to do the service on a Sunday. And next thing they know, they came back home and the person had committed suicide. There was a series of persons in the African American community as well, and there was also a United Methodist pastor a few years ago that I knew. I was associated, you know, I'd met him before, and him and his wife were pastors, and he committed suicide on a Sunday, I believe, or one of the days during the week, and just unfortunate, you know. So there's pressures to pastoring, and you know, and I'm, you know, I'm a little hard sometimes on the pastors and the spiritual leaders for not getting mental health services, but I'm saying on a serious note, they're hurting. So and that's just what we're talking about. Go ahead.
I wonder, in listening to Dr. Marla and listening to how you started out, Dr. Brian, when you talked about Christians and as a whole and how we're lacking that peace, and many of us are lacking that peace and lacking that joy. So can it be that there is a correlation here? Because if our leaders, spiritual leaders, are not being educated on the need for mental health, what they're teaching and what they're presenting to those that are under them, if they're going home and or wherever they are and having suicidal thoughts, if they're depressed, so what are they sharing with their people? So that they're not experiencing the full joy and the peace that you spoke of. How can they express that peace and joy if they don't know how to teach it to them because they're going home and committing suicide, having suicidal thoughts, dealing with depression because they've not been taught.
Yeah.
They've not received the teachings that they need.
Yeah, and that's true. And then last week we did have a pastor on, Dr. Ian Edwards, who graduated with me. A pastor in Maryland of 2 churches actually, and he talked about fear.
Wow. He did.
And he even shared his story. I hope because he's already said it about him suffering in silence with depression.
Yes.
And I mean, and then we see it. I think Janet Jackson just, and then we've also talked about the R&B singer Mariah Carey as well, and many others that probably are not even coming out saying that they suffer with depression. And I mean, and think about it from a philosophical perspective. When we look at it, a lot of the people, they got plenty of money.
Yes.
They're wealthy people. I mean, you're not dealing with somebody who don't have access to whatever they want to have access to. But yet, it's not about money.
It's not about money.
It's about a state of mind.
Yes.
And this is what we're talking about. Maybe that's a conference thing. Don't be trying to copyright my stuff now. State of mind.
Yes.
What does it say? Free your mind and the rest
will follow. And there's definitely that correlation, because when you think about, the lack of knowledge, and the word tells us for lack of knowledge, the people will perish.
Yes.
They die. They die in their spirits.
Yes.
They physically die. Mm-hmm. And so we have to get that information out.
Yes.
We have to set up a framework. We have to set up an opportunity for them to participate and get the information.
Right. Yes.
And so we're adamant. We're intentional about getting into these churches and allowing them to help them to save lives.
Yes, and that's what it's about. It's about helping.
Yes.
We're not here to try to take over. We're not here to, tell them what to do, but we're here to help. And that's what we're doing. So I do want to bring up something that we're doing. And I mean, because we talk about the problem all the time and always tell people, look, if we don't have a solution to the problem, I think we need to stop complaining.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll say that again, church. If we don't have a solution or at least an idea, we need to stop complaining. Yes. All right, so we have some solutions today. Right. Amen.
Amen.
I'm feeling churchy.
You got a suit on, y'all.
Yes, I got my suit on. I didn't put my jacket on, but I got everything else on. I'm ready. I got my preacher suit on. All right, but we're going to be having a workshop called Blessed People Get Stressed Too. And we're going to talk about how to identify the signs of mental distress. Mm-hmm. And we have a featured presenter. And this is going to happen tomorrow, June the 24th of 2018 at Victory for the World Church in Stone Mountain. So we have the presenter is going to be Dr. Teresa Holt.
All right.
Who's in the house.
Yes.
So, Dr. Teresa Holt, if you will go ahead and talk about us, and I want to give a shout out. My stepfather, William, is on. Hello, William. I know my mom is watching. Hello, Mama. Love you. My mom supports the show, you all.
Hi, thank you, Mom.
In all ways, she supports the show. Even financially, she supports. And I love her, and I appreciate her sowing a seed. And also my stepfather, Father William, for supporting. And also, we have LaDawn. I went to school with you, I think. Yes, that's LaDawn. Hey, LaDawn. Thank you for joining us. Send us a comment. Call in. We definitely are talking about mental health. We're talking about all these things. All right, blessed people get stressed too. How to identify the signs of mental distress. And this is a free community workshop.
Yes, absolutely.
So can you talk about this mental distress? What is mental distress? That is LaDawn. Hey, LaDawn.
First, I wanted to talk about how people mask their depression. Wow. So some of the things that you guys were talking about down there is very interesting.
Wait a minute. Say that again, Dr. Hall.
People mask. I think a lot of leaders...
Wait, hold on. I just love the way you said that.
Mask.
Yes.
Mask. Like we just
say
hide
it again.
it.
I just want you to say it again because I thought that was awesome. This is live, y'all. We're doing a live show. This ain't taped. Go ahead.
People mask their depression.
Yes.
Particularly leaders. So I think you were saying that, people get in the pulpit and depressed, want to commit suicide, but they mask it so well you never know that.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
And that's so important to recognize that. So everything that looks good isn't good.
Yes.
You know, someone that really, everyone that comes apart, they look like they're together.
Right.
Beautiful
Everything's-
cars, beautiful
Yep.
homes,
Wow.
diamonds,
Right.
pearls, designer shoes, red bottoms. That doesn't mean anything. They could
Yes.
be really suffering from depression.
Yes.
So it's really important that you check in with your people,
Mm.
not just in the public sense, but call them, visit,
Yes.
come by, do things and let them know that you really care. But anyway, we're excited about tomorrow. We're
Yes,
going
we
to
are.
really do some really creative things to put out there what depression looks like. So I have a few students who are going to assist me tomorrow. I'm so excited about that. We're going to do some role plays.
Oh,
We're gonna
we
talk
love role
about-
plays.
Yes, we do.
We're going to talk about what it looks like.
Mm.
And sometimes it
Nice.
doesn't look what you think it looks like.
Wow.
And some situations you can say, that's mental illness.
Yeah.
Someone comes in, they look really out of sorts, perhaps. But then someone just really well dressed. You never can tell.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about strategies on how to deal with it. We're going to talk about how to identify it, what you can do once you identify it. We're going to talk about how to find a helping professional, a licensed helping professional.
Yes.
We're going to talk about confidentiality. So we have a whole host of things that we're going to
Yes.
talk about without telling
awesome.
you everything.
Yes.
But we're just excited. We're excited to actually do something about it.
Yes,
So often
yes.
we just talk, we have these forums, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Yes.
So we're going to be really putting it out there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do our disclaimers for people who are just so holy they can't see it.
Uh-oh. Because they blessed. They said they
Yeah.
blessed. Notice the title,
Yes.
Blessed
Highly
People.
favored.
Yes.
And highly favored.
Right.
How you doing? You know you're going through.
Yes.
I'm blessed and highly favored. And I'm not down in that, but I do
Right.
think that we mask
We do.
a lot of these things.
We really do. And we just think God will fix it. But God will fix it. We saw something on Facebook. I sent you a shot of it.
Yes.
It said, how did it go?
Call Jesus and a therapist. We
Come
talked.
on now.
We talked about
Come
that
on now.
before. Call
Right.
Jesus
That's right.
and a
Yes.
therapist.
There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with seeing a therapist.
Nothing.
Now I think who started that. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I saw him preach it. I mean, on Facebook recently. Dr. E. Dewey Smith
Yeah.
had
Okay.
said that,
Yeah.
and I think and I've been seeing it all the way around. I'm not
Right.
saying he giving him full credit. I don't know, but I know he did
Right.
say it a few weeks ago or
Yeah.
something. And I think it's powerful.
It's very powerful.
And true.
And true.
Right.
And needed.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, so much needed.
Yes, yes.
But yes, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But notice this distress, and I want to paint this picture too.
Okay.
You know, just watching the news a lot of times is so distressing.
Yes.
You know, watching these, you know, our president, I mean, the administration, you know, even this immigration
Yes,
border
the children.
situation, the children, I mean, being separated from their families, all kinds of things are, you know, and then the shootings. I mean, they've had, you
Yes.
know, I know around the nation, but also here in Atlanta, there's been some shootings. I mean, children being shot. I mean, we got the police, you know, we got citizens, we got all kinds of things that are going on. People are in distress.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to be preventative. The
Right.
reason why we're getting the education out there is because we're trying to be preventative.
Right,
See,
right.
that's the thing. You know, and I'm going to talk to the church people today.
Okay.
Okay, the spiritual people. We love to talk about things that have already happened.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and certain
Right.
things that have already, I'm sorry that Joe got arrested. Oh, I'm sorry that they unfortunately tried to commit suicide. It's such a, you know how they talk, it's such a shame that happened.
Right.
All right, but what I'm proposing today and what we're all talking about, which still deals with leadership and also deals with congregants getting mental health services, is the fact that why wait until someone gets locked up? Why wait until someone tries to commit suicide or do commit suicide? Why wait until somebody is in a broken state, a struggling state, you know, a dangerous state, where they have to be what we call in Georgia 1013 mandatory treatment.
Right.
You know, why do we wait until someone is struggling on drugs or alcohol and strung out, as we would say on the streets? You know, we're talking about being preventative.
Right.
When we start seeing signs, it's almost like a seed. When we start seeing signs that something is a little off, something is not right, then we need to seek help,
Immediate.
and action.
Right.
So let's talk
Proactive.
about that. I mean, y'all go ahead because I know I set it up.
And that's the thing.
Because we on to something today, y'all.
We're so reactive versus being proactive.
Yes.
You know, we've
yes.
seen it happen time and time again, but I think sometimes in our minds we really believe it won't happen to me.
Yes.
Right.
That
Or
was the
anyone
other
in our
person.
family.
Exactly.
Right.
That's them and not us.
Right.
And so we have to start looking at and taking more ownership on our own lives.
Yeah.
Right.
And as you say, Dr. Holt, taking that mask off,
Right.
really
Yes.
looking at, I'm hurting.
Right.
You know, I don't know how I'm going to make it one
Right.
day to the next, 1 minute
Right.
to the next.
Yes.
Right.
And so we have to, you know, take this time to share, you know, what we have, the knowledge that we have, and almost be persistent.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
sometimes people be like, well, I don't want to hear all of that.
Yeah.
Well, you going to hear it.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
because
Yes.
you will thank me in the end.
Right.
You know, so I think it is vitally important that we get that message out there. We help people be okay. You know, sometimes we have to give people permission to hurt, to be in
Oh,
pain.
you on to something. You said permission.
Permission. We
I
have to
like
give them
that.
permission to say, you know, you can't. You got a lot of things going on. Sometimes people have things from childhood
Right.
that they're dealing with, and sometimes things just happen that you didn't see coming,
Right.
and you didn't prepare yourself.
Right.
for.
Oh,
So
wow.
you don't know how to handle it. So
But
why not?
what about if it's not about hurt though?
Okay.
A lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm not hurting. I'm fine. I'm blessed and highly favored."
Yeah.
But I hear voices at night.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
And what
Okay.
are those voices
What
telling
are they?
you?
Is it my grandmother or is it a spirit in the
Yeah.
room?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or is it that I may have schizophrenia?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm so
You
I'm more
understand what I'm
comfortable
saying?
saying
Right.
that it's the spirit.
Right.
My grandmother's coming back from the dead
That's
to talk
right.
to me,
Wow.
you know, versus calling it for what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's you're hearing voices, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say people don't have spiritual insight.
Oh,
now,
no,
I
no,
will
no,
definitely
no.
make a
Right.
clear
Absolutely.
difference between
And
that.
I would agree.
But if you are actually hearing voices telling you to hurt yourself,
Yes.
Right.
Or somebody
someone
or
else.
someone else,
Yes.
or telling you to do something that's very negative, I think that you need to seek help
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
from someone that can know the difference,
Yes.
rather than you
Yeah.
just struggle in that and
Right.
think it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's important too that when there are things such as this, these workshops and things that
Yes.
are offered for free, that
Yes.
are offered to the
For
community,
free.
exactly, that there not be a resistance
Right.
from the spiritual community,
Right.
that it be a push and an encouragement,
Yes.
because that helps to eliminate the stigma.
Right.
Because what happens is we perpetuate the stigma by saying, well, just come to the altar, we'll pray about it. You don't really need that. But you need the altar and you need these programs.
Right.
And then once you come, once you get the mindset that it's okay to come,
Right.
because that's the problem. Because we feel like the African American community, feel like, it'll be all right. I don't need to talk to anybody. Or if I go, that means
I
that
don't want to tell
don't
my
have
business.
Yes.
And I don't have faith.
Yes.
That means I don't have faith.
don't
Right.
have
Yes.
exactly. But if our churches and spiritual institutions get behind pushing and promoting
Embrace it.
and
Yes.
embracing it,
Yes.
then it makes it more acceptable,
Right.
and then
Yes.
we can get the help that we need.
Right.
If we can have, and I'm not saying anything against it, but if we can have health fairs, we
Oh,
can have
yes.
breast cancer awareness, and we can
Yeah.
have, where they set up stations where they
Adoptions
take
and-
your blood pressure and exactly
Yes.
adopt. So if we can
What's
do that
wrong?
and it be well attended,
Right.
it's pushed and well attended. What about our mental health?
Yes.
Yes.
You
What
on
about
it.
that?
You
Without
on it.
mental health, you can't do any of
Any
those
of
things.
Yes.
Those things.
Not effectively.
Yes.
That's
All
right.
those
Yes,
thoughts
because
in your mind.
yes,
Right.
because
Right.
that's
Those
important.
thoughts.
Yes.
You know, turn into actions.
Actions,
Yes.
right.
You know, and so we can help you to
Yeah.
understand the differences
Yeah.
in your thoughts and your behavior and how that portrays to action.
Yes.
We've got tools and
Yes.
techniques that
Tools,
can
that's
help
awesome.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
To make
Yes.
it through these situations that
Yes.
you find yourself.
Yes,
in.
well, and we have Diggett Ingram on. Hey, Diggett Ingram, she is definitely the she created the flyer and
Oh, thank
everything.
you.
So we love you. So from Victory, and she is just a powerful person and just helping us. So tomorrow, let's focus back on the workshop. You also said identifying behaviors that lead to addiction.
Right. So that goes back to what you're saying, seeing things from the beginning. So even if you have a teenage son who you just happen to find, like a roach, like a blunt, small blunt
Yeah.
in his bag.
Weed, y'all.
Oh, okay. Weed, blunt,
Down the road.
THC, cannabis.
It's weed. I don't know. I just know about the people educate me on it. I don't smoke, but they educate me.
Right. But it's just important that you do something.
Right.
And it's not okay just to say, well, you know, it's from the earth. I used to smoke it
Yes.
when I was a
Heard that
kid
so
and all
many
that.
times.
There's so many. It's not the way it used to be. Let me just say that.
Yeah, yeah,
They have so many different chemicals that are involved. They even have weed that you can't even see on a drug screen.
yeah.
So it's just really important that you notice and immediately try to do something about it.
Yeah.
If you notice that your child is eating more or sleeping more, or
Notice
with
the
wrong
signs. Watch the
crowd,
signs.
or
Yeah.
not going to school like
Yeah.
they should. Those are signs.
Yeah.
And you should really take notice to that.
Yeah. And then also we're going to be talking about preventing anxiety, because everybody. And I'm getting a wave of people in my practice that are stressed out by jobs.
Right.
You know, work-related stress and have a mental health diagnosis.
That's right.
Major depressive disorder, adjustment disorder with mixed anxiety and depressive moods. And I'm putting, and people don't, and I want to say this, and I think we're going to have a whole show about this, about the Family Medical Leave Act, the FMLA.
Yeah.
You know, and
just
and,
picked
and
that out my head.
I have a lot of people in my practice that are really, there's some people now, and I got to tell the truth. They try to get out of work and don't want to work and try to say they have a mental health issue. All right.
But there are a lot of people who really
but on a
do.
serious
Good.
note,
They
there are a
really
lot of
do.
people that are in my practice and probably in
Yes,
your practice,
exactly.
and that we work with that really have not taken time off from work, and they have life issues as well as just
right.
you know,
on the verge of
yes,
killing their supervisor, literally.
Yes, or
Making
hurting
a
somebody.
plan and everything.
Yes.
So it's really important.
And it's real.
Right.
And I would rather be preventative.
Right.
Because when they come into me, but some people are, and it's sad because I've had clients that come in and they think that their supervisors are there to nurture and support them in certain ways emotionally. And I've tried to help them and say, look, that's a job.
Right.
You can't expect your supervisor. You're hired to do a job. You're not. I'm not saying people have to be mean, but because it can be a hostile work environment. Don't get me wrong, but they're looking to supervisors to be all. It's a business.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, there are supervisors that taunt you because of your mental illness.
Yes.
They'll know because they see your record and
Yes.
they'll say things that set you off. So both sides of the fence is there are lots
Yes,
of
a
different
balance,
things.
but
It's
I do think
definitely-
that we still have to have it in perspective and everything too. Because it's very vital that we do kind of look at those things. But a lot of people are suffering, and so we have EAP services, employee assistance programs.
Right.
A lot of people get. I have, one particular EAP is sending people now for a 90-minute assessment, and then they're giving them 10 sessions.
Oh, wow.
I have never seen these numbers this high for
I
EAP.
Wow.
Sometimes 6, sometimes 3, 4,
Yeah.
but I've been seeing 10 sessions and an assessment being done, a 90-minute assessment. They want you to do a 90-minute assessment, and then you get 10 sessions
I'm seeing the same
free.
decline, yes.
Yeah, and so this is the word
recognize
we
it.
want to encourage people to
Yes.
get the services free. There are free services. If you work for most major companies, you get an employee assistance program that you can call and you can get the services and get referred to a local provider
Yes.
Right.
that has been vetted through that process. It's not even easy sometimes. People don't understand from a practitioner standpoint to even get on some of these panels, insurance panels, and also on to the EAPs. It's a challenge sometimes. But once you're on, you can get services. And so I have a whole slew of people that are really what I call traumatized by work experience and life experience, and they're being challenged. But yet they're getting the help that they need. That's what we're talking about, and that's very important. So tomorrow, Sunday, we're having this workshop. Come with your questions. Come with your concerns. It's going to be interactive. It's free. We're going to also have refreshments and things that are going to be a light lunch, and refreshments will be for will be provided, but it's tomorrow around 12 noon, right after service at Victory for the World Church in Stone Mountain. You can Google it, 1170, I believe, North Harrison Road. I hope that's correct. On the air, it's right there, 1170 North Harrison Road. I got so many addresses in my head. Also, we have a partnership. The Joshua Generation Care and Consultant Services has a partnership with Hillside International Truth Center, and we're going to be doing some workshops and things there and talking about mental health. Dr. Barbara King has been an advocate, given her background in social work, but has been an advocate to all the work that I'm doing, and even my dissertation was done at that place, Hillside International Truth Center. That's another place that's doing all kinds of different things, from AIDS and HIV education to mental health to nutrition to dealing with what, and I hope y'all don't be, I got to say this, dealing with energy. People don't really want to talk about it. Sometimes people bring a presence.
Yes.
Have you ever met somebody and they come in and their energy level, their spirit is just so heavy, and they just dump on you. That's what, there were some workshops there at Hillside talking about different things like that, about helping people shift that energy, shift that mindset. That's what, and so there's so many things that are going on there. Now, Dr. Marlowe, you're going to be the presenter. So this is what's happening. That's why I'm so encouraged. The United Church of Christ, the Southeast Conference, has sponsored a grant that was available to Victory for the World Church and many other United Church of Christ churches. And so this is part of the grant that we're doing. On one hand, I'm doing clinical pastoral education training, and then you all can definitely check that out on the website, www.joshua-generation.net, where we're doing clinical training. We're helping ministers get the help that they need, but also get clinically trained to be able to do the work of ministry, to be able to see first themselves. We got to look in the mirror, people.
Yes.
Right.
Before you can effectively help somebody else, you have to look in the mirror and see yourself.
Yes.
And see how you function.
Exactly.
How you in counseling, we go through all kinds of training, supervision, practicum, internship, hours and hours of observation, feedback, consultation. The same thing that clinical pastoral education does. It helps you to see yourself, in ministry, else, right? So you can be effective in helping somebody else. There you go. So in this grant, we have that part, and then we have a series of workshops every fourth Sunday. So next month, July, the fourth Sunday in July, we're going to have a workshop that Dr. Marlo Mathis and also Angela Dean, both are licensed professional counselors, and have, Angela has been on the show. She's been a host, and has taken over for me and everything on the show. She's going to be co-hosting a workshop there on the fourth Sunday in July, and it's going to deal with what, Dr. Marlowe?
Well, we want to continue on with helping people to not live such a stressed life. And it also goes to ending this stigma of not wanting to get mental health.
So you wanted something there, Dr. Marlowe.
Still going in there and just helping them understand you don't have to, live that life in silence,
That's
suffering
right.
in silence.
Wow.
And so we're going to be looking more at anxiety, as you talked
Yes,
about earlier.
yes.
We're going to look at depression.
Yes.
We're going to kind of look at some addressing questions to increase knowledge of symptoms and signs of anxiety and depression.
Right.
Because sometimes people see, you're getting anxious, I got butterflies, and they don't know that these are actual signs and symptoms. So we want to really look at what those signs and symptoms of depression are. We want to discover some hidden triggers. What is it that's triggering me to what are my triggers? We're going to be able to address those and just be able to hopefully to be able to reduce some of those emotional distresses of life, taking care of your well-being, being the best you that you can be. So giving them that stage to ask questions and giving them that information, to help them to be able to kind of rejuvenate your mind and your body and who you are. And this is who you are. God, Jesus, help us.
Who you are. Excuse me. Yes, Dr. Marlowe, you on it. So next month, and Dr. Marlowe's going to be back to talk about that, and hopefully Angela will be available to talk about that, because That's so vital.
Yes.
A lot of people are suffering, and you don't have to suffer in silence.
You don't.
And also
Help
on
out
this
there.
show, if you have questions, you can always put a question in Facebook. I am looking at it, and I'm giving shouts out. Is that Lentil? Is that Lint? That's, I know who that is. That's my friend. Hey, how you doing? And then Alice is on. Thank you for joining us. But put a little comment on there. If you don't want to call in, you can always, a question, a comment. We're still talking about mental health, and we're just talking about, not just complaining about what's not going on, but we're providing services.
Right.
And that's what we're doing with the Blessed People Get Stressed, and also this anxiety and depression workshop. We'll have a formal title soon about it, and kind of putting that out there. All at Victory for the World Church, where the pastor is and organizer is Dr. Kenneth L. Samuel, who is a supporter of mental health services, who has opened up his church for mental health services. And for that, and so I'm grateful for his partnership and for his openness to allow a workshop to happen and workshops to happen. And then the last workshop that we're going to, the other one is going to be about parenting. And so we're going to talk about that, about effective parenting and how that causes mental distress. Because I always tell my parents when they come in, there's no book for parenting.
No.
It's on the job training.
Right, that's right.
So we're going to talk about that and kind of help people walk through that, because there are a lot of single parents, fathers and mothers, that are single parents that are struggling, in communication. That's the key. How to listen to your child, what to look out for. Those things can cause mental distress and mental disorders too. So definitely we want to definitely be talking about that. And then the last thing that we're going to be doing as far as this workshop, this series of workshop is first aid mental health. And I'm getting ready to be trained as a facilitator of that training, where I can go around doing that, and you get a certificate. It's an 8-hour training, but it's first aid mental health, and it's a powerful training just to get that knowledge, to look at those signs. It's almost, and you even get a wonderful manual, like a first aid manual that you can take home and everything. So we're going to be offering that in August.
Okay.
In September we're going to be offering that. In August we're going to do the parenting workshop, and y'all will definitely hear more about it. So check our Facebook page, the Therapeutic Conversation Show. Like that page. If you have not liked that page, you need to like that page. Also, the Joshua Generation Care and Consulting Service, like that page. And then Brian Jones, you can like that page as well. All right. So anyway, Cecilia, please tell us what you're doing. You're doing so many things. I love the advertisements and stuff that you're doing. So tell us real quick, what are you doing?
So what I'm doing, as you probably have heard me say before, Pain in the Pews, Mental Health and Ministry.
Oh, my goodness. That's enough right there.
Pain in the Pews.
Is that copyrighted? I told you that.
You told me to do it, and I did it.
Because somebody look, I may be I'm joking with you.
Listen.
I'm joking with you. We all in this together. I'm joking with you.
The very first time we met, that's what he told me to do.
Yeah,
You
that's
better
a
copyright.
powerful
Yes.
thing. Go
But it's
ahead.
Pain in the Pews, Mental Health and Ministry, and it's an initiative that I started 4 years ago. And this year, we're hosting our 4th annual conference, and it is September 21st and 22nd. And it ties so much into what has already been said. It's amazing because on the 21st, that night, we're hosting a restoration service. That service will be, our special guest will be Bishop R. Christopher Brown. I invited him. He's from Bennettsville, South Carolina. I invited him because he is definitely one that is plugged into the need and the understanding of mental health and the ministry.
Okay.
He's done several teachings on it, and it's just, I see and hear that he has something that he can say and provide. Because if we're talking mental health and ministry, we're going to have a service. We need to hear from a pastor who has the heart for that. That Saturday, we're hosting an expo. That expo will include mental health professionals, people who can speak to that, vendors that are going to be there on site. So if you need a counselor or if you need a coach, they're going to be there. If you need someone who's written a book, they're going to be authors, screenwriters. All of that is going to be there for you. But also we're going to have a panel, which is the meat of it. We're going to have special guest speakers that are going to talk about we're going to have people who are in recovery, they're going to speak. We're going to have people who are mental health professionals that are going to speak. But the panel discussion is Pain in the Pulpit.
Oh,
That's it.
say that again.
The panel discussion on that Saturday is Pain in the Pulpit.
Wow, I love
Helping
it.
the helpers. So we're going to have a panel discussion that is dedicated to understanding the pain in the pulpit. While that is taking place, there's going to be a special session specifically for pastors where they can go in and they can be among themselves.
You doing it.
And they can talk, because sometimes they can be in the Pain in the Pews Mental Health and Ministry General Session, but they might not say anything.
Wow.
They might not ask the questions, but we're going to have a place specifically for pastors.
I love it. I love it.
They'll have a round table specifically for them. So that's September 21st and 22nd.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, how can people reach you?
Absolutely, on painandglory.com. That's pain with a Y.
Yes.
P-A-Y-N-E. And glory.com.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
indeed.
it. I mean, and that's why, we have different people on here, because, even yourself, you bring a different lens.
Yes.
We all in this together, but you bring a different approach. And I just love the ideas that God has given you, to get into the churches and to be a mental health advocate. And people don't know. She is Cecilia is a mental health advocate, and she's doing this thing, and God is really blessing, because she invited me. I was so honored to do a workshop a few weeks ago, talk about, what did we talk? I went on into something else. I don't know what I went into, y'all.
You stayed right there in it. We talked about pastoral care.
Oh, yes.
And since then, the response, I've been meaning to tell you, the response has been amazing. Wow. As a matter of fact, I had to be a part of a meeting that took place the very next weekend.
Wow.
And people who were there at that particular session, it had nothing to do with what we were talking about, but they asked me to come up and come back and talk about what you talked about.
Oh, wonderful.
To the group, and it stemmed conversations. It stemmed because people thought that pastoral care had to do with taking care of the pastor.
Yes, they did.
Pastor's aid.
Yes, they did.
Taking care. And so when they understood the pastor, right. When they understood the pastoral care, that's not it.
No.
That's not it. And then understanding that was powerful.
It deals with the health of the congregation.
Was powerful.
How is the body functioning?
Right.
And when one part of the body is not functioning, then the whole body is not functioning effectively.
Right.
That's a whole nother show.
Right.
So thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I wanted to go back to something you said real quick.
Go ahead.
You talked about mental health in the workplace and how it presents itself.
Yes.
Recently, within the last couple of weeks, I was in my office and I noticed someone whose behavior, nothing extreme, but it just seemed different. It seemed different. And because I don't interact with this person, I don't know if that's their normal behavior. I don't know if that's their personality.
Wow.
So I went to their supervisor and I said, listen, this could be nothing, it could be something, but I'd rather tell you and it be nothing than not say something and it be something. And I explained to her the behaviors that I noticed. So she took it from there. But and then there's the EAP in place. But sometimes it's not that people are acting out, and because and when you're in a situation where you talked about earlier about current events, when you're already you may have things going on already, and then you get to work and you're in a situation where you got to hear it again. You've already tried to block it out, and now you got to hear it again about the immigration. You got to hear about this, and so people are anxious not only with their workload, they're already anxious. So when I saw this person, and I noticed, to me, that things weren't looking like
correct.
Looking correct.
Something was off.
And I brought that, and so I think it's so. I share that only because I'm probably not the only person who's been in a situation where you notice someone that didn't quite, or something seemed like, or maybe a coworker that you're close to, and you don't really know how to help them. There's EAP in place. Maybe you don't go to that person, but maybe if you feel comfortable going to their supervisor, going to someone, or offering them, here's our EAP information.
Yeah, exactly.
Because maybe they just need somebody to speak for them.
Wow.
Let me just piggyback on you right quick.
Yes.
I just did want to say, for people who are unemployed or people who might not have a job with benefits, you can still seek help.
Yes, that's another way to say it. Yes, I'm glad you put that
most
out
people, most therapists will take a sliding fee scale, or some people might do pro bono.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you can't get help because you don't have an EAP or health insurance.
That's good.
It's really important to just reach out and see what's available.
Yeah, but also part of it is too, we pay for everything else.
Come on.
I'm just going to put that out there. We got shoes that are $200. We got got hair, we got
Right.
everything else,
Right.
clothes. I mean, come on now.
Right.
And we have to raise the level. That's a whole nother show. But we got to raise the level of awareness
Yes.
to that we have to pay for help too,
Right. That's
especially
right.
the ones that can afford it. I'm not talking about the ones that can't afford.
Well, even
but
if-
but there are some that are driving Mercedes, BMWs, and all that, and they pull up and they talk about, all I have is $20.
But that's called self-pay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can pay out your
Yeah,
pocket.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So,
So we
yes.
want to encourage people to invest. You're
Right.
investing in your
Invest in
life.
your
You're
mental
saving.
health.
And that's the
Yes.
message I want to
Yes.
leave, because we got to close, is that we're saving lives here.
Yes.
Yes.
We're enhancing lives. We're
Yes.
helping lives. This is a life or death situation when people are having mental health challenges and mental health issues.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about on this show. So we've had a wonderful time here. I do want to leave here with just what you want people to know. Look at the camera and tell the people what you want them to know. And I'm just going to wrap up, and then I'm going to let you all close out individually real quick about what you want them to know. Just a statement about what you want them to know. All right, you're going to get ready? Yes. All right, but you all, we thank you for joining us today. This is the Therapeutic Conversation Show. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Jones, LPC, and it's been an honor. Please like us on Facebook. Please look at my website, www.joshua-generation.net. You can definitely give us a call. We're available for services, for mental health services to help people, and also workshops, education, all kinds of things that, and you can look on there. Anything that we can do to help you. Make sure you all follow us every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 108 Praise Radio. And we're so thankful for Courtney and the staff and for this platform and for this opportunity. So even as we're closing, I want you all to just give a statement about, and what I'm taking away today is being proactive. That we got to look at the signs and we have to be proactive in our approach. Don't wait till someone gets locked up. Don't wait till someone's strung up. Let's try to get people help and be proactive, as Dr. Marlowe say, and not reactive to everything. And I think that's important. So, Chelsea, if you would go ahead and give us and tell the people what you want them to know, give them something in closing.
Here's what I would want everyone to know, that it's okay to get help. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to understand that you can help someone else just by opening up your heart and your mindset to understanding that mental health is real and getting mental health help is necessary.
Yes, thank you. All right, Dr. Marlowe Mathis.
Yes, and what I'd like for you all to know is to allow God to help us help ourselves. And God has given us so many tools that we can move towards where he would have us to be, and that's a sense of wholeness. So do whatever it takes. If you need to pray, pray. If you need to go to church, go to church. If you need to get mental health assistance, please do not hesitate. There is help out here. You've heard it today. So get the help that you need to get to a place of wholeness.
Yes, wonderful. And Dr. Teresa Hall?
If your mind ain't right, you ain't right. Get some help.
And that's the message that we want to send out, that we really gotta help the people. You just dropped that on. You said if you're okay. Boom. Stick a fork and we're done. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. We're just excited, and we're thankful for 108 Praise Radio, Courtney and the staff for this platform. We continue to pray, and y'all reach out to 108 Praise Radio and send an encouraging word. Sow a seed. They're helping people in the community. There's also Courtney is also training people to do work like this in the media, and it's so important to get it out with social media and get it correct as well. So thank everyone for joining us today. We're honored. Join us every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. This is the Therapeutic Conversation Show. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Jones, LPC. Thank you, Dr. Teresa Holt, for joining us, Dr. Marlowe Mathis, and Chelsea Payne for joining us. Cookie Payne. I always call you Cookie.
That's right. That's
Payne for joining us. Payne in the pews. P-A-Y-N-E, right? Payne.
Pain and glory. But
Pain and glory.
Yes, and pain in the pews.
Yes, there you go. And
There
so
you go.
thank you all for joining us. Like us, send us a message. Send us an encouraging word today. But we're going to be continue even starting next month, still talking about mental health services, of course, but also ending with talking about why we are not getting the mental health services in our churches and in our spiritual communities. We have free workshops available. I'll see some of you all tomorrow at Victory for the World Church at 12 o'clock, 1170 North Harrison Road, in Stone Mountain. The zip code is 30083. Thank you for your time. See you next week.